All right, so for look number one with the Beauty Below palette, I think I want to go into the pink quadrant just for something easy to do. Try not to blind you with the mirror. So this quad up here, I've already primed my lids, so I just need to get into it, I guess. So I'm gonna start with the deep color Tempt. I'm going to put that with a fluffy brush to kind of help blend it out so it doesn't stay too dark. And if you can hear the wind and the rain, we are supposed to be having heavy rains today, so I do apologize. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And next I'm gonna go in with Siren Shriek, which is the brighter pink, and I'm going to use this to blend out the edge. So I know this palette is supposed to be like the big sister or little sister to the Laura palette, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? Because I feel like this is nothing like the Laura palette, and I do have it and I've used it before. I just feel like this one is a lot different. All right, and then I'm gonna take, I don't even know how to say the bright pink one, but there is a bright pink shimmer right here. I'm going to put that on the inner half, and I'm going to put Carnivorous on the outer half. Sorry, I'm just looking for the brush I need. And I am going to spray it because I normally spray all of my shimmers just to help with the staying power and preventing fallout. I will say this palette is a lot heavier than the Laura palette because it's magnetic, which I understand why they did it. A lot of companies are switching over to magnetic, but I personally don't like taking palettes apart. I feel like they're put together the way that they are for a reason, and that's not really something that I want to mess with. Because when you start moving them around, you don't know their names anymore unless you label the back. You may forget where you got it from. So that's just not my most favorite thing. I also don't depot things either. That's just extra work that I don't feel is necessary. I'm really not a fan of singles because I don't do like one look, one shadow looks. I typically use several, but that is just my preference. I don't know if a lot of people feel like that, or if maybe I'm an oddball and people really love that type of thing. Because I do know there are some people that like to be able to take their palettes apart. They like to be able to put it to where it makes sense for them. I just don't feel like that's me personally. I do know this is more of a second try with this palette for me. I had tried it the day I got it, and I went in with some really dark shades, and I wasn't in love with the look I created, so I wanted to try again and use a different technique, because I know not all palettes or all formulas you can use the same technique for. I know Blend Bunny is focused on more of like professional makeup artist. And you know, the really good creators that could do the really fancy creative looks. I'm sorry if that doesn't make sense, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. I do love their shimmers. I feel like their shimmers are really pretty. I just think this palette personally, for me, I think could have used their other palettes. They always have a mid-tone color in their other palettes when they are doing like the gradient looks. And I personally really like the middle tone that they always included. It made it easy to blend and work with, to create with. You didn't always have to use it. You could have used the mid-tone as the light tone, you know, or vice versa. You didn't have to use it, but that option was there for those palettes. Like the Robert Welsh palette and the Lure palette. I know they are definitely changing things up from how they used to do it. I know a lot of people didn't like that they were doing a lot of rainbow feeling palettes, like the Ellis palette. I don't have that one. I never did, never used it, so I can't speak on that. But I think this was their take at getting away from the rainbow that people were complaining about, which I didn't see anything wrong with. I loved Robert Welsh's palette. It's one of my favorites. It's so easy to create a look. The formula is amazing. I think that collaboration was amazing. And then the Lure palette, I don't feel like it was rainbow at all. It was close to like the blue and green family, like you would think of when you think of, you know, mermaids. So it definitely made sense. But it did have that really light pop. It had a medium pop and then the dark. And then of course, you know, the shimmers that you could use. And the shimmers, you know, you could mix and match, which you can always do with palettes, but when they're set up a certain way, sometimes it can be hard to imagine it, or you wouldn't think to do it. And that's why some people depot their shadows and move things around. I personally don't. I want to see, you know, the inspiration that the brand had when they made the palette. Like this one, for example, they did quads. I mean, I think the formula is beautiful, the colors are nice. I just wish there would have been more of like a either lighter or middle tones, I think. Just my personal preference. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. So I'm just gonna try and blend this a little bit better right here. I didn't really take any product on the brush, I'm just trying to blend it out. I will say their shimmers are opaque, which is nice, so you don't have to use like a base shadow. I know typically I always use the base shadow because sometimes you don't know how a shimmer is going to act, or even how it's going to wear. I'm gonna take a little bit more of the Siren Shriek to put right here. I did wait a little bit after priming to do this, so I was doing work around the house while my daughter was awake. I just changed the brush to be able to get into where I really wanted to. And I'm going to use a small blender brush to just deepen back up right there. And I'm pretty sure the Lure palette does not have a mirror in it either. But I'll show them side by side. You can definitely tell there's a weight difference. So that's definitely a thing. So that is what it's essentially a pink quadrant looks like. And I am going to finish up my makeup and show you the finished look. Alright, so I'm back to do the bottom lash line, and I think I want to go in with a more neutral color so that it does not take away from the look itself. So I think I'm going to go in with Abduction, and I'm going to put that on the lower lash line. It has really started raining here. So I did change areas where I'm filming. I don't know if I like this light better or not. I know you can see the highlighter better and the blush a little bit better. So let me know what you guys think. Do you prefer the other room or this room? I did end up getting my hair cut, so I was really happy about that. But I did want to compare these two, the Allure palette and the Beauty Below. Both of the packagings are done very well. They are ultimately the same size. I think Allure is just like a centimeter shorter. Both say they're good for 12 months, vegan. It looks like weight is different. So this says 32 grams, this is 23. So there is quite a difference in weight. I do like both of the packaging. I think they were both done very well. So the Allure palette does not have a mirror. And this is the color story. So it's got neutrals, it's got the light, medium, dark, and then shimmers. I think maybe these two rows are kind of similar, but I'm not mad about it. The shimmers are interchangeable. You know, these three can go together really well. These three can go together really well. And with the Beauty Below, it doesn't have, it's just missing something is what I feel like it's missing. Some it's missing the lighter shade, some it's missing like a medium shade, I think. Personally, that's how I feel. And then it is magnetic, so it's a little bit more expensive, but not too much. You know, I love the packaging. I think they did amazing on that. So then side by side, I think the deep tones in Beauty Below definitely go deeper than what is in Allure. It's kind of a weird word to say. Definitely switched up how they do their color stories. I feel like their shimmers are a lot different too. What do you guys think? Their shimmers definitely look different. I don't know if they changed the formula or not. But stick around and you'll see look number 2. Alright, so for the second look with Beauty Below, I wanted to see if I can do something a little bit lighter. I know I did the pink quad before, and now I want to use a mix of the 2 middle quads, so these right here, to see if I can get a lighter look. So I'm going to start with Abduction, which is the tan color, and I'm going to place that up here for a transition color to help blend things out. If you hear anything in the background, my daughter is right next to me in her bouncer playing. She is officially 3 months old and has longer wake windows, and she is very much a Velcro baby. She likes to be where the action is. She wants to be able to hear people. She wants to be heard when she's talking. She's trying to flick her toy right now with her hand. I know the first look that I used this, I wasn't really impressed with this palette. I feel like it was very hard to use. I know I had actually used it one time before I filmed, and I really did not like the outcome of that look. I feel like it's really dark and it was hard to blend out and work with the colors. So I'm hoping today that I can make this work. All right, so now I'm going in with Murky Waters, which is this color right here. And I am going to place that on the inner half. I don't know about anybody else, but I haven't really seen a whole lot of reviews on this palette. I think I've seen 1 or 2 people talk about it, like from the people that I normally watch. And I'm not going to be putting any base on today because I have irritated skin. I'm trying to get it to heal so that I can wear foundation without it looking cakey and clinging to my dry patches. Are you enjoying your elephant? Next, I'm going to go with Entrapment, and I'm going to go in very lightly with it because it is such a dark shade. All right, so very lightly with Entrapment, and I'm just going to press that on the outer portion to darken it up a little bit. I'm going to go in with a smaller fluffy brush to try and get more definition. Yeah? You talking to the elephant? Are you talking to the elephant? If you can hear a little noise, her seat vibrates and she likes that. So I turned it on for her. All right, so I'm going back in with Abduction to blend it out. I really don't want my eyes to be too dark today. So this definitely has not been my favorite palette that I've tried this year. I know I still have a bit more colors to use as far as like testing goes to see if it's something that I'll reach for more than just a video. Because I know the Morgan Turner palette, I absolutely loved the Morgan Turner palette. I think it works fantastic. The formula is amazing. And I have the other two other Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes, but it's almost like the formula is different. So I'm going to go in with Her Prey, which is the Pinky Peach Shimmer. What are you talking about? And I'm going to spray it so I don't get fallout. Or as little fallout as possible, I should say. I feel like this doesn't have great color payoff. It's very sheer. I want to say it's probably like supposed to be a topper shade. And I prefer my shimmers to be very opaque. I still put a matte color down just because I feel like it helps prevent creasing. But this is a very subtle sparkle, I want to say. Next, I'm going to go in with Cursed. No, I'm going to go in with Deadly Fate. And I'm going to put that on the outer portion. This definitely has a darker base to it. I still feel like for this to have a darker base, it's still pretty sheer. Usually when you spray shimmers, they're really opaque and almost like metallic wet looking, but this is pretty light. Alright, so I'm going to finish up my eye look with some eyeliner and mascara, and then I will be back to give my final thoughts. Alright, so here is the finished look. I did put moisturizer on, that's why my skin looks a little bit shiny. I don't hate this look. I'm actually pretty happy with the way this turned out. I just wish that there was a little bit more versatility when it came to the blending shades. I feel like the Abduction and Murky Waters are really the only ones that you could mix and match. I'm sure that you can do it with other ones. So I think this look turned out nice. I just feel like maybe the palette as a whole, bless you, the palette as a whole is not something that's my favorite when it comes to my collection. The shimmers are definitely pretty, but I think this is something that we may see being decluttered at the end of the year. I am going to use it a couple more times just to see if maybe it was something on my end, but from the 3 times that I've used it, it was a little bit tricky for me. I know Blend Bunny does a lot of palettes for makeup artists and those that are more artsy inclined, which is not me, so I'm more of an everyday mom that just loves eyeshadow. But I do think the packaging is a 10 out of 10. They did amazing with this. It's just the color story for me. And I think maybe a little bit of the formula, because that was easy to blend, but I did use the lighter shades and I went in very lightly with the Entrapment shade. But maybe this is the palette that you need to be light-handed with. I will definitely use it more before the end of the year to give final thoughts when I do my rankings. And